The Southeast Asian city-state of Singapore is one of the world's premier telecom markets, despite its tiny size and population of just 5 million. This week, the island is in for a veritable mobile invasion as companies flock here to take part in the annual CommunicAsia trade show. Giants like Nokia, Sony Ericsson and Huawei have been out in full force this week, showing off a range of new devices, though industry heavyweights from Korea, LG and Samsung have opted to stay at home. But before we delve into this week's show, let's take a look at some of the top wireless stories crossing the wires this week. GlobalFoundries has stunned the semiconductor industry by culling its top management, including its CEO and COO. ATIC, which is the investment arm of the Abu Dhabi government, replaced both Kia Song-hui and Doug Gross, CEO, with its own hand-picked members of its executive team, including James A. Norling, an ex-Motorola man. RIM continued its fall from grace last week as the company revealed its disappointing financial results with lower than expected revenues. Adding insult to injury, the firm also said it had only shipped 500,000 playbooks. Sprint Nextel has purportedly signed a 15-year network sharing deal with LightSquared. The deal will see Sprint work with LightSquared to build out its national network, which Sprint will then use. The move is thought to be a response to Verizon Wireless's LTE build-out and AT&T's planned LTE launch later this year. It also puts Sprint and Clearwire's deal under the microscope. Rumor has it that a long-anticipated Facebook iPad app is in the works and could be coming to a glossy tablet screen near you soon. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's founder, is said to be heavily involved in the design process. A new dual-screen Android device has been spotted in the wild, prompting rumors it could be the mysterious LG Optimus slider. The phone, which boasts a big screen and a smaller screen embedded into the keyboard which comes out as a slider, has been spotted with a T-Mobile logo, prompting rumors it could be headed to a T-Mobile store near you soon, although we can't tell you what date just yet. And now for ASEA's top stories from the CommunicAsia trade show. Chinese vendor Huawei took the wraps off its mysterious HD media pad, giving CommunicAsia goers a hands-on with the 7-inch Android Honeycomb device running on Qualcomm's 1.2 GHz dual-core Snapdragon processor. Nokia used CommunicAsia to unveil its first and last MeeGo smartphone, the N9. Though the phone looks good, many have criticized the launch as pointless, with a plethora of Nokia Windows Phone 7 devices coming down the pipeline soon. Nokia Siemens Networks has given its liquid radio architecture a boost with the launch of its higher power radio module for its Flexi multi-radio base station family. NSN says the new module has 40% more performance for 3G data capacity and GSM coverage. Japan's entity Docomo has shown off a prototype multi-band power amplifier which gives phone makers the ability to produce handsets which can be used in multiple markets. Fins of a feather flock together, which is why Nokia has teamed up with fellow Finnish firm Rovio to get the first NFC-enabled version of Angry Birds up and running on its C7 devices. Angry Birds Free with Magic sports 20 levels, 15 of which can be unlocked by bumping phones with fellow NFC-enabled Nokia devices. This has been ASEA Wireless's top news from CommunicAsia. We've really seen a wealth and breadth of phones at this year's CommunicAsia show in Singapore. Emphasis has been placed really strongly on quality this year, with hardware exceeding our expectations. Everything from curved screens, to fast chipsets, to hot swappable SIMs, to loudspeakers. CommunicAsia really has got it all. Now, one of the phones that we've been really impressed by at this show is the new Nokia N9 phone, which is in the booth just behind us. We've seen it come in a range of 3 very flashy colors. Obviously, it comes with a very easy to swap SIM card. It's running on MeeGo, which is Intel's collaboration with Nokia, and is said to be Nokia's first and last phone using the OS.
It's all gesture-based. You don't have to push buttons. Basically, when you open an app, you can swipe in any direction We have a gigabyte of RAM for applications to run in. So basically, you can run about as many apps as you want. And then we have two memory configurations, 16 gigabytes and 64 gigabytes for your media, for your storage, for your pictures and music.
On the BlackBerry stand, we've seen the new 9900, which is looking very nice with the OS 7 operating system, with the full BlackBerry keyboard, with BBM Messenger updated. We've also seen a plethora of tablets at this show, with Huawei and ZTE, the Chinese vendors who are coming out with some really impressive and affordable tablets for the global market. Huawei in particular has shown us its MediaPad tablet, which comes with full HD and is a really nice looking device.
Operating system is called 3.2, specifically designed for a 7-inch ID. The device that we've built here, it's based on Qualcomm's 1.2 GHz Snapdragon. Having such a high speed, it allows us to really put in high definition capabilities on the device. Another thing notable is the size of the battery. It's actually a very large battery. It's about 4,100 milliampere hour. So you will have at least 6 hours of working time. Other than that, it has the whole GMS services and also Android market that you can actually download.
So thank you for joining us in the halls of CommunicAsia for ASIA's device roundup. We're happy to have shown you some of the best devices from this year's show. As markets transition from 2G to 3G, DAS, or distributed antenna systems, are becoming ever more important to solving key issues around coverage and capacity. This is especially true in Asia and specifically in Singapore. Smartphones are driving the need for in-building coverage and capacity as people become ever more reliant on their devices for apps and data.
The users are mostly inside a building when they're pulling data, and about 85% of the data requirements for transmit and receive are for a city like Singapore is from inside a building, not in the streets.
Traditional networks were not designed to provide penetration inside a building, much less support the use of smartphones, which is precisely where DAS and inbuilt systems come into play.
The importance of DAS started in the early 90s and mid-90s and until late 90s, which was because of the coverage. And the coverage, basically the higher frequencies it went, it didn't get inside, it didn't penetrate concrete, and so DAS networks were required to put them inside the building, so it covered the buildings inside out as opposed to outside in. But as the time passed and traffic became a bigger issue, DAS became even more important.
In Singapore, which has deployed 3G aggressively and is now in the process of rolling out 4G networks, carriers are primarily concerned with delivering good services both inside and outside of buildings, meaning they're investing heavily in DAS.
Many companies have come to see how it's done in Singapore, and I believe Singapore is the DAS capital of the world. And the challenges we've taken on here in Singapore have always been ahead of other challenges we've had in other countries. The system inside Marina Bay Sands was not done just for this show. It was done for the whole complex. 6 million square feet of space. This is probably the largest DAS system that I know of in Asia, if not the world. We've put in about 120 kilometers of coax and 70 kilometers of fiber optics and over 4,500 antennas. In addition to the way it was put in, we had to follow the construction of the building. And as they were putting one floor in and moving to the second floor, to the next floor, we were putting our systems in on the floor below. And then they will close the ceilings. So doing this DAS for this building was one of the most incredible projects we've ever taken on.
So while DAS may not be the most attractive devices at CommunicAsia, it certainly would be hard to communicate without them. This is ASIA Wireless News at CommunicAsia in Singapore. The buzz at this show has been absolutely phenomenal, and we've had a great time bringing you all the latest news from the show floor. In Singapore at CommunicAsia, this is Sylvie Barak, ASIA Wireless News.